I knew.
I hope that makes it on YouTube, like mine did last time.
That's what she said.
She said.
Where am I?
Mine the top. It's Zap.
I don't see it yet.
Nope.
I pause it anyway.
And we're broken already.
Welcome to the show. Great. Oh, perfect, Kruger.
There we go.
I see it. I just heard it roar, so.
What road?
The dude.
Hi guys, and welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Blankspace, and this is the first episode of Late Night Dominion. I have some fellows here that'd like to introduce themselves. Go on ahead.
I'm Oroshi. I'm the logistics officer for Substitute Vanguard. That'd be Beetle next, I think.
I am Beetle. Welcome to the show. Episode 0 was a fluke. This is episode 1. Everybody knows Jar Jar was the best character anyway. Go ahead, Aegon.
Well, we're gonna get right on in here to the news. And as everyone knows, there was a leak. Us here at SVG, we have a strong stance against anyone breaking NDA or sharing of, any private information. So we don't condone it. We don't go to websites that allow it. And we'd like to tell you more what's out there, but it was redacted earlier. Just kidding. What did end up happening this week was in a different sort of approach. Carbine themselves decided they were going to release the patch notes officially and go to Wildstar Central, one of the websites that was not allowing people to break NDA, and have a very long conversation with several of the staff at Carbine. In the end, having beta patch notes being released prematurely by other people, it reduces the hype in the long run. And what you guys really need to know about is that a lot of the changes that happen, they may not, stick. And it breaks the integrity of the people that they bring in. So just don't do it. Anyone want to mention about how the devs did versus the testers?
Well, yeah, and the first thing Blank didn't do is show you that he has a sweet Pop-Tart in honor of our first Pop-Tart tester.
I did.
He just showed you he showed him the back of it. Anybody that's gonna be like, "What is that? Just a crappy piece of paper?" Yeah, there you go. And Wildberry, we're not sponsored by Kellogg's, but yeah, no NDA break, please. I'm getting echo from you, Aegon.
Yes, I am.
Because you break the NDA and a feature gets taken out later, you always get somebody's going to refer back to it. Oh, this feature was in the game and it's not there now, and the devs have reduced the game or they dumbed it down, or a whole other host of stuff you get on the forum of trolls.
I'm eating, so you guys can keep going.
The devs did lose to the testers. I think it was really embarrassing. Like the devs won 0 matches and testers won all 3.
Yeah, and the PvP weekend thing. recently in their arena thing, they touched on that devs went 0-3. Pretty awesome.
The thing to note about that, getting feedback, Aegon, is that this is 22, level 22. This is early level PvP, so it's good to get a lot of feedback at that level. But the question that really got to me, that I discussed with some people in IRC, balancing PvP systems based around level 22 combat in arenas when they've said that arenas are going to be Elder Game content. Just a little star, just a little question mark there. That's Fight Club. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, definitely. And we're gonna touch on some of the patch notes here and just things that we found interesting. If there's anything that you guys found interesting, throw it in the chat while we're going through here, and we may touch on it in our notes here. But the first thing we're going to talk about is like the entire experience level at the rate at which you gain levels has been reduced. That's a pretty big thing. They must have been seeing quite a few people hit 22 fairly quickly, and it's something interesting to see once they open it up to higher levels if it'll still play out that way.
One of the things that I had read also about the reducing the experience was in their previous testing, those that were going through the content were wanted to go through it quickly to get to a specific project or specific thing to work on, whatever it was. When they got a bunch of people in there, however, the feedback they must have gotten said, this pacing is a little too fast. Maybe you might want to tweak it. I believe it was a general tweak across the board. So I really like that they were able to do that. And we may see that change back and forth based upon what they're doing. They may bring people in for a next chunk of testing, and it will be, it'll be too hard, and they'll have to adjust it within certain parameters. So it's good to see something like that.
It could be a change just to make people play all the content as well. Some of these changes could be just purely slow down the testers to make sure that they're doing everything. Because otherwise it's pointless. You get testers race to level 20 and miss out a quarter of the content.
Definitely. I think Aegon's still working on his mic, so we're going to keep moving along here. Another thing that was confirmed is the looting system, need versus greed, is going to be in for anything that is above uncommon. Greens and blues, stuff like that. And it looks like they touched on the timeout for that loot. If somebody doesn't grab that loot and they've won that loot, will be 1 minute on the greens and 3 minutes on the blues. So some guy's not paying attention, you're trying to snag that stuff. That's what you're looking at.
I also just I'm nomming away here. I also wanted to mention about that part of the note said maintain loot rights on relog. Now, say you disconnect, does that timer continue? Or does it then you come back and you have 30 seconds? Just, we're going to throw things around the speculation train. Where does that timer
that was mentioned, whether that's all loot or just for like the rares. Maybe if you're out just generally questing and you DC, you've got time to log back in and that loot will still be yours to claim. So I'm not sure it's just for raid loot or dungeon loot.
Anything below the uncommon will be round robin loot. So what you miss out on will probably be back there and log in, but I guess we'll see. And if Blank's a real man, he'll eat the part where he drew on with that non-toxic marker.
It's so good.
Is it creamy? Oh, so creamy.
It's wild berry delicious. If we could move on to our next subject while I finish eating this Pop-Tart, why don't you go ahead and introduce it, Beetle?
Yeah, sure. Active skill bar is down from 9 skills to 7, which makes this little guy like so sad. He's just like, oh, I have 12 buttons. That would have been easy. But their reasoning for it was because of, they didn't want people to have to buy these kind of things. And it'll introduce, if a lot of you are familiar with Guild Wars 1, it'll introduce a lot more builds that way, I think. That was one of the best things for Guild Wars 1 was the ability to swap those things in and swap them out. and it was always cool.
It's something we need to make clear. That's not all the skills you have at your disposal. That's just from your class skills. You have 7 skills you can swap in.
Yeah,
Because there's
I
other
was just
skills
saying
they're
the
going
ones
to
that
put
only.
in from.
Go ahead.
They can be put in for like paths or maybe suits or other objects as well.
Right. They said a couple people said it here in chat. 7 combat actions, 1 path, and 1 class, so a total of 9.
Mm-hmm.
But the LAS was down to 7. While Beetle was talking about having, his big fancy mouse, I did want to touch on that a little bit because there was a very long conversation with a bunch of the developers and even Jeremy Gaffney himself about making the aim so that highly skilled play can comfortably be used on a keyboard. And with the combat systems, with telegraphs, moving, double jump, the sprint, you have a lot of things going on. So I feel that if I can use WoW as my baseline, it was easy because you didn't have to worry so much about telegraphs. Things were feedback. where
Aegon.
I know where I keep saying that's happening tonight.
Hey, count blanks ums.
Can you guys turn around for a second?
Yeah, well, Blank's discussing that. What you need to do is you take a keyboard and then you point it northeast, and then you keys rest and WED, and the Alt key is just there. I think it's called keyboard turning.
I hate all of you.
Towards the sun.
Drink on
It's a new
every
technique Blank was learning about today in our central chat.
Yeah. Why I think it's good for the 7 out of 9, sorry Beetle, is that you're not, I believe some of the key bindings you're going to be using shift, control, and alt. You may be able to use them for specific things, but part of the combat play is the telegraphs, the double jump, the sprint, along with your action set and your class and path abilities. So you're balancing your cooldowns, the stuff you can do for your class, long cooldowns, and it's not so much as being able to hit shift and hit 2 because it's going to do the skill in a different way, but more of perhaps you're going to need to be more skillful because of what's happening around you in general. Whereas like in WoW, you had to have I played a rogue among other things, you had to have a focus, and then you had to have a focus blind, you had to have a focus kick, focus a lot of other things. Sounds like with the telegraph system, you're going to be paying a lot more attention to what's going on around you and maneuvering and things like that, and not so much for the 30, 40, 50 macros that you'll need to be successful in PvP and also in PvE.
I agree.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I agree.
Oh, that's it? That's all you guys got?
It's not going to be like, as you said, you've got this other stuff going on that you're not going to be stood still on the spot like you were when you're playing WoW, only moving when the raid leader says you now need to move to this new spot, or in a dungeon boss fight or something like that. You're going to be moving around all the time. So I think that's why they cut things down a little bit, because as Blank says, you've got to worry about dodging out telegraphs. There's going to be multiple telegraphs. What we've seen so far in most gameplay is you get into one creature who's got a single telegraph down. But when you've got like a boss and you've got ads and you've got other stuff coming in there, multiple telegraphs, you're going to have to worry about where your healer's telegraphs are. You have to remember about that. It's not alt-tab healing. You're going to have to get to the right spot to heal stuff, be healed. So you got so much more going on around you that maybe this is why they're restricting number combat skills.
Yeah, and that's another thing to touch on is the telegraphs are really going to show where the skilled players divide from the people that aren't as skilled as recognizing telegraphs, recognizing creatures they can produce will help a lot of the players become better if you understand those. So we'll see with all the telegraphs flying on the ground, just dodge rolling as often as you can, I guess.
I sent someone to go hopefully get a link for you guys. It was from Jeremy Gaffney. It's one of the YouTube videos showing just how complex some of the telegraphs are going to be. Now, you're going to put these sort of telegraphs in an encounter, in raids, in a dungeon. We'll talk about PvE first. you want to be in the center of the heel that's on the ground. So you're going to want to be maximizing getting there, moving a double, oh, I used my, my sprint and my double jump. I now can't get there, minimizing time. There's a lot more going on with both the telegraph system and then your decision making, both in PvP and PvE. I'm fighting a boss. I see that something happens. I need to move. Oh, I just got hit. Now my priority is to get someplace to get healed. I was dumb and I sprinted in, and now that's on cooldown. How do I get there? It adds a totally new layer, whereas some of the other PvP combat systems that I've experienced, they're a lot more linear, to the point where some of them have those wonderful cast sequence macros where you can sit there, spam 1 till everything's on cooldown, spam 2 3 and that's it. Feedback.
It's like we're saying at PAX East as well. They had what was that, the Curse Party? They talk about some Taiwanese players not understanding the whole telegraphing. They'd sit there to cast a spell off, and they're going to get hit by the mob before the spell goes off, and they're being disrupted. So the telegraphs, you got your rotations, but you're going to have to be more aware of what you're doing. As Blank says, you can't sit there, keep hitting keys, and you're going to find it's more like Guild Wars 2 that you're going to use your skills when it's the best time to do it, not when it's off cooldown. And that's what they're aiming for.
Sorry, I'm reading up on chat on the silliness here. I believe somebody said that that was the telegraph video. Yeah, and everybody loves Beetle's beard. And more than likely, we're going to try and get that, into the game. So you'll be able to get that on your Macari.
I think it's there already.
Like a bit red there, Beetle.
It's just called Beetle's beard.
Yep.
Yeah. It's gonna be a little more crystalline than it is on me, but
it's like an ultra rare drop as well, and it gives you a 50% boost to your health.
Yeah, it also drops in Dota 2 for those of you who've seen it. It's
All right, am I coming in
it's
now?
worth quite a bit. Hey, Aegon. I don't see you, but I heard you.
Yeah, we heard you.
Not gonna see me without restarting.
Oh boy.
So
Phantom Aegon.
I'll be a phantom.
It's a nice hat you have, and your mouth doesn't move when you talk.
I'm awesome.
He lost a bit of weight as well. It's a good diet.
He's a ventriloquist. Let's move on to the raid notes.
There's a big note in here by Chrissy84.
Let's read over.
The only issue I see with general world telegraphs is like TSW, whether or not when you're a melee class, moving out of combat to avoid attacking just slowed everything down compared to taking like a champ. It mostly did not much damage and kept dishing out damage even if knocked over. Not much of an issue, of course. Harder content is welcome.
I think they've stated they don't want people to be able to tank and spank as hard as other games like that. And the telegraphs, it'll depend on the mobs and the raids, I think, but warriors are going to have to be active and they're going to have to move to tank effectively. And I mean, that's just going to be how this game's going to happen. That's just the beast of it.
Is that the beast of it?
I think I'm an English fate. That's why.
Did I say melee? Did I say melee? Did I say melee? My leg? I don't know. Move around or die. Move around or die is the thing in this game. It's going to be like, I'm going to sit here because I can tank this. It's like playing like Torchlight 2 on elite difficulty. I'm blank. I can tank this so hard. Blah, blah, blah. Dead. So move. Move or die. Sorry.
Don't stand in the fire.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's whelps.
It seems like if you look at the video that Nixus had posted, it should be difficult both for ranged and melee, which is important to me because anytime I see a game where I can sit back and shoot in straight lines and just pew, 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 I just want to gravitate towards that because I'm like, well, unless I have a great gap closer and I can dish out lots of damage, that's not going to be fun because I'm just going to get kited all day, which does become an issue in some games, especially Terra. But from what we've seen, those telegraphs aren't just around, but they're everywhere. Sorry about that.
Mobs have put down like a meteor shower, so you've got multiple sort of circles appearing around you as well. I think that's going to get complicated when you add in like ads to that, or you got 2, 3 monsters dropping him down. You have to work out, is that a new telegraph or is that one about to go off? Can I pass through this one safely?
I'm gonna grab this other question from chat real quick. I know we're gonna near the end. Oh, never mind. Blank said we're gonna talk about.
We'll get to that, Void. Just hold on. It's
We'll probably answer. We'll answer majority of the questions at the end of the show anyway. We're documenting them and stuff like that. But we're gonna talk about. You guys want? We've been kind of talking about raids. One of our notes here is raids will have the best gear and it will be unique in every way. I mean, they've said before, if you raid, people are gonna look at you and be like, "Oh, that dude raids. Like he works out." So there's that. And then we also want to talk about the how they design their builds and their classes, the way that Stalker can tank as well as the Warrior. These will lead way to different styles of tanks and off tanks. And if anybody wants to touch on some of that.
What I was reading, it's not that you can do it different ways, is you're going to have to do it different ways. If you go into a raid, you can't take one cookie card to tank in and make do. You're going to have to take several different styles of tanks. And healers and DPS, you're going to have a variety in your group. You know, there isn't going to be these cookie cutter builds of this is a tank, this is DPS for this class. Because in one fight, it's going to work. Next fight, you're going to get slaughtered. Or have a harder time.
The big thing for me about raids, and specifically about who is nom-nomming.
That's not
Is it
me.
Aegon? Aegon, are you nom-nomming? Yeah. All of a sudden, it's like, this is all we hear.
Bag of chips is working.
All right. Back on topic. I thought it was important to look at tanks, raid design, system design, what I love to look at. Varied builds are going to be needed. So you're going to go into an encounter, dungeon, raid. Normally, you want the dual weapon spec DK. You want the prot spec warrior for this fight because you need this or you need that. It's sounding like the way that the design is going to be set up, there may be several ways to do different things. It may not be, hey, we beat it this way on YouTube, we put it up, and everyone else goes to do it, and they're like, we couldn't replicate what you did because your stalker had a different setup. He was able to group tank while the warrior was able to do a single target. So instead of it just being, you have to do this, you have to do that, it sounds like you're going to have different tanks and different roles that you're going to be able to fill based upon every encounter, and more than just one way to do it. There may be popular ways, but it's sounding like there's going to be a lot more room for diversity within what you do. And those of you that are asking questions, some people may answer them in the chat. We will, the questions are being taken up, and we're going to try and get to all of them at the end. So if we don't get to it as part of the the rough outline, we will definitely get to them at the end. So we're not dodging your questions. We're totally going to get to them, I promise. Someone want to talk about the Ven bots, Aegon?
One more thing before we move on.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a good thing. There's too many games I played where if you're not this build, people just tell you to go away. And when you start adding in a system which allows you to have a variety of builds, it reduces that elitism of like, well, my build, I can do 1 extra DPS a second, thus I'm better than you. If you got a system where, yeah, fine, for this boss you are, the next boss, my build's better. So we need that variety, and it keeps the game interesting rather than becoming stale.
I think that's really important. It's nice when oh, this patch came out, the best DPS you're going to get is by having this weapon built this way, this specific thing. And people will find those things. People min-max, they theory craft, they find what works best. However, it sounds like they're designing the game so that isn't going to be always enforced. That might give you the best threat per whatever, but if you can't pull off the threat needed, if you can't do it in a specific instance, you can't do that rotation in PvP, then you're going to find yourself lacking. You may find something that works for you, which may not give you as much a theory crafted threat per second, damage per second, but you're able to micromanage better and have it still be effective. I think that's amazing. moving on.
Yep.
Yes. Did someone want to talk about the Venbots, or are we going to move on to classes?
Yeah, I think we should move on to classes here. Can we skip the first part of classes and just go to the new types of the classes? Because I think the other stuff is pretty basic.
We can just talk about what's highlighted right there.
Well, that's what's basic, is what I'm saying. The stuff below, it's a little better.
Just mention.
Someone did ask about it in the actual chat channel.
We're going to go over this real quick, and then we're getting feedback, Atomics. What most people may or may not know, we're going to do it real quick. Warrior is strength and technology. Stalker is dex and technology. Esper is magic and wisdom. Spellslinger is dex and wisdom. We are missing the rest of my notes here, but the next two should be
strength and magic.
Thank you.
Strength or magic.
Strength and magic is what should be coming out, because we've got dex is max. Everything else is max. So those are the next two that we need. So that's what we're going to see in the classes.
It's like to be like a melee healer class, I would say, and some sort of ranged DPS. Or
Yeah,
maybe maybe a pet class is something that hasn't turned up yet.
Yeah, I think there's some good speculation. I think it was on Wildstar Junkies about, I think, what they called, correct me if I'm wrong for the fan side, sorry. They called it a Rune Master, and he was a melee typed magic wielder that could heal as well. They were thinking axes or something, and I thought that sounded pretty sweet.
I see a lot of questions for classes. We're going to push through this and try to get into that, because that's really what the show is about, is talking back and forth with you guys.
Sure.
Next part was the Stalker suit modes.
Yeah,
basically,
Stalker.
Go ahead.
Stalker's now changed to be, all their skills are based off of suit power, and that's how those will be used. I kind of consider it a type of mana, it's just a tech suit kind of thing. And then spell slingers now have mana. They can be fully spec to healing. Stuff like that. Anybody else on spell slingers?
The mana's there to stop them from healing constantly. Something we don't want. You have to sit there and constantly heal somebody. You're gonna have to. Again, it's back to just having to think about what you're doing. You can't sit there and use the rotation and hope for the best. And Espers, they've had their cooldowns removed, it looked like. But from what we understand, that's more based on they're going to be finishes. You have to build up your focus like you were at PAX East. You're going to have to use other skills, build it up, and then you can use the big, huge finishes.
Finishing.
Yeah.
Right. Got no feedback on that. So the next thing we're going to mention quickly is path details. The only one that I was super excited about, and I'll let the guys talk about the other ones. Soldier holdouts scale to numbers of people taking part. So more friends, more XP, holdouts are more fun. That's awesome. I said
Counts. It makes them more
Events.
Yeah, it makes them like a public event, almost like Guild Wars 2 scaling system. But it makes them more attractive for players to stop and help out with them. I'm assuming they had issues with people just running past them. Hey, I don't want to deal with this right now. But with the scaling and probably the loot scaling off of those, sitting there, taking your time to scale with those guys is probably going to yield some pretty good loot.
And we're going to have a board at the end which pops up and says contribution people made and what rewards they got as well, a bit like a war had. Something they've been discussing. Saying like Oroshi came in top and Blankspace came in bottom. How it normally happens.
Yeah, after the public events, they're going to have the scoreboard, and Blank will be nice and cozy at the bottom.
Number one. Blank number one.
What's got me really excited is the whole settler stuff. The fact that they can deploy quest hubs, vending machines, workstations, taxi stations, and these are going to be more of a sandbox element. So you're going to be able to go out near like a quest hub, which are people having difficulties, struggling, and start building infrastructure up there for them. To me, the big questions in that is how long are these things going to last? Because if you put it down, is it going to last till you log out, or a few hours, or 5-10 minutes? That can make a big difference how the game plays out. So,
yeah, and another interesting thing with the settler, they said that the turrets they deploy now are going to scale off of their assault power, which should be pretty awesome to see if you're fully spec damage on whatever settler path character you're using. It could be pretty awesome.
It's different types of turrets as well. Something Gaffney was mentioning, that you can have some going to plugs at set points. You can some you can just put down anywhere you want, and others which can be involved in the war plots as well, which is going to give the settlers a use in war plots.
Did you guys want to discuss crafting or into shields?
I don't think there's enough to talk about crafting, but that's just me.
All right. Well, the shields information that came out is that they are like Borderlands. The important things to us to share with you is that everybody can equip a shield, all classes. The next part is
At this time.
right. They are that at this time. They're effectively a fast regen, but they are not a shield as in I hold this up, it blocks damage, then it is gone. It's more of a it goes down, then it is depleted until it regens in the future. Moving
Halo.
on. What's that?
Gaffney was
Halo.
saying that. It's not quite like Halo from what Gaffney was saying, because you have your health bar still. So your health bar is going to take a longer time to come back up again. So it depends on how your game style is. You can have a lot of health or downtime, but have an easier time of fights. Or you can have more shields and have a shorter downtime, but maybe struggle a little bit more in fights. So it's going to be some more tactical play with that.
Insult, you did say you'd like to slow down moving from topic to topic. We are throwing some stuff out there as like general information. The way that the show works is we put out some stuff that you may have missed, maybe didn't see, some speculation you hadn't heard. Then once we put out the stuff that we really want to make sure gets out there, we're gonna sit down with you guys and we're gonna talk through questions, speculations, any of the stuff we talked about, anything we missed. So just bear with us. We have about a 30-minute grouping of information to get through, and then the rest of the time, if you'd tuned in last week, is spent conversing with the chat, having the live part of the show. If this was on TV, you guys would be calling and being like, hey, tell us more what you think about shields. Tell us about PvP balance. Tell us about, people beating the PvP team in Arena. Why is that so significant? We'll get to it. Shall we mention housing real quick?
Yeah, I think
Housing's
it's
awesome.
fairly important. It's awesome. It's amazing. You get to have lots of cuddly teddy bears, and
You can
No,
buy
it's not.
teddy bears at level 6, and your teddy bear grows into a flying house, unconfirmed. You have to feed this bear with lettuce. Lettuce is a level 35 item. It can only be found off the metal maw. I'm going to stop just saying random crap here, but you can buy your first house at level 6.
the XP's now in bold characters, they're saying. And their XP is about twice the rate of open world if you're on someone's war plot, and it's 3 times if you're inside.
The
It's the
really
vague figures.
I think it's 4 times if you're inside,
It's
3
4
times on the
times.
plot.
It's 4 times. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I can.
The subject to change. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I talking with my hands? You should probably take a shot for every time I do that
There you
too.
go.
However, level 6 is when you can currently buy a house. So if you're very frugal, if you get lots of good drops, you're then able at level 6 to increase your rested XP. Something to think about here in the future, as some of us are going to be trying to power level through 150 to 200 hours of content to get to maximum level as quick as possible. Another variable to throw in there, especially if the pay model doesn't allow you to buy experience boost, which is a whole other topic.
Yes, it is.
I'm just throwing some more things out there.
You want me to give some shout outs?
Do some shout outs.
Should we go over the questions from this first before we do shout outs?
Sure.
Why not?
Maybe.
Well,
It seems like the point to do rather than do shout outs and come back to it.
all right, we'll come back
Kind of a hipster though, so I like to shout out before my questions.
to. We were doing shout outs before we ended the show.
We can hit some questions. That's a whole wall of text, Nexus. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip. Blank, look at that.
We've done
Was
that
the
one.
Pop-Tart linked to the first beta tester? Absolutely. Beetle, are you a master loot ninja trainer? That's 100% confirmed. Does the marker add an extra bit of flavor from Classics Gaming? Blank, did the marker give you? Was it a flavor marker? Smellable? Was it how was that for you?
It was actually the marker I had wasn't working so well, so I ran into my 2-year-old daughter's room and got this like paint, non-toxic, I hope, whatever it is, paint stick thing, and used that to draw all over because I thought it would be funny to be eating a wild berry, wildlicious Pop-Tart in honor of the first beta tester who popped up in closed beta 1. And then put
I'm sure
redacted.
it's not toxic blank to monkeys. They're testing it on labs, but human beings, who knows?
Who knows?
You should test on the exiles next time.
Are the leaders of SVG broken up between smooth-chinned and beards?
Yes.
I had a
sure.
beard earlier today, but I shaved it off. The wife says
That's
it's
a lie.
getting too pokey, so maybe I'll grow it back for next week.
Did you say pokey?
She says it pokey. They're going to be like,
Yeah, girls say that.
lifetime. It pokes her and she complains about it.
Tell my girlfriend to deal with it mostly.
She's happy, but it's starting to get hot here, so
Why do people have top buy after? I'm not quite sure what that question is supposed to mean. So, Insult Gaming, if you had a question about 9 skills, could you re-ask that question?
Why do people have top buy after Marquez accessories for 9 skills? Question mark. Yes.
I am 12, and what's this?
100%.
Absolutely. Have
Hey,
you
buy
guys.
after
Oh, go ahead. Someone.
buy accessories for 9 skills. Aftermarket accessories for 9 skills. What he's trying to say is like you have to buy them or something. I don't think you have to buy them. I think they come from different sources, for your skills or something. Or are you talking aftermarket accessories to push it beyond 9 skills? You go like skill number 10. And so, no.
Oh.
Else.
I,
You don't
I
have to
don't-
buy aftermarket accessories to get beyond 9 skills. It's just easier.
I never even thought I needed the extra equipment. Like, there was no time in my mind. I think I'm kind of like you. Insult is. There was no point in my mind that I was like, oh my god, I need to have a Naga so hard. I need 12 buttons. It was just kind of like I was at the store and I was like, hey, I just got paid and I'm done with my money, so let me buy this cool looking thing. So that's kind of how that went. So yeah, I think there's plenty of great gamers that I know that still use Death Adders. Yeah,
I'm elitist and I want the best gear and spend lots of expensive money on it. And I think anyone who doesn't is just a noob, and it's fine. You just turn your keyboard
northeast.
Stop it. Tilted towards the sun at the solstice marker.
He's facing Ra, the sun god.
Yep.
Have you heard any new info about the 2 new races and speculation about the 2 more classes coming out? If you look around the internet, there's a lot of good speculation on those. I would say, do some research. You can find some cool stuff in interviews and little tidbits that you're like, ooh, I bet that's...
There was one interview, wasn't there, where a dev walks along and goes, oh, that creature has no name? Maybe. Or maybe he just forgot it and was trying to cover it up.
Yeah, so there's a lot of speculation. The big speculation is the last Exile one will be undead. A lot of people are hoping. And the last Dominion one will be small. That's all I'm saying. So
I heard the last
Pop-Tarts?
Exile one was going to be a spaghetti monster.
yeah, that was confirmed.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
Spaghetti Monsters will have 12 skills specifically for Naga players. And you can only play the Spaghetti Monster if you have the drivers installed for a Naga.
And the special code Razer are going to sell you to have a special Spaghetti Monster Naga. So if you have this one, like it's not Spaghetti Monster, you're just not going to have to use it.
Any info on the next beta invite wave? They said 5 weeks every time they hit a milestone. Milestone is where they go to the big guys and say, hey, is this looking okay? And they say no, and then they go back to the drawing board. So every 5 weeks, 1 week's down, expect them in 4 weeks. I mean, they said they can run them out. It's their game. They can throw them out whenever they feel like it, honestly.
I have just my quick shout out because I'm not quite sure. Never mind. No, we'll keep going. I'm not allowed to shout out.
Just
Back to
kidding.
moving your fingers again.
I almost redacted my redacted and got redacted.
What do you guys think about the 7 ability slot only? I think it will ruin tanking. If you have your 1 and 2, I didn't say that. If your 1 is a taunt, and your 2 is a tether, and your 3 is a jump, and you're managing your cooldowns, I say we only need 4 abilities. So,
I mean,
it really depends.
Over there is, you jump your space key and you get the double jump on that as well. And there is this whole temporary right click going on as well, auto attack. So maybe you can have, you've got like 1 to 7, but maybe you can have an auto attack or some ability on your mouse and other skills as well. So, it depends what's generating your threat as a tank. If every attack you're doing is generating threat, then how many abilities do you need to be able to do it?
Yeah.
Get into go.
Like Zap said, I think it needs to be played to be judged, definitely.
Yep.
Fallen Knights as your party may be in trouble. Beetle doesn't tank very often, so I think we're okay.
Well, we will be all right. I will.
Tech wisdom. Tech/wisdom. Engineering range DPS pet class?
Oh, well, those were for possible classes.
Yeah, I think pet classes are cool. I don't feel like, I mean, a lot of people don't like them, but I really love the Minion Master from Guild Wars 1, and that was like the last time I really liked pet classes. So if they're done correctly, they can be cool, but a lot of the times people don't even care about the pet anyway, and it's just like Guild Wars 2. It's like, oh, there's a bear running at me. I really don't care about it. So
if settlers could put down turrets and such, isn't that going to cover the angle? Like a turret to your pets or something, you can make almost any class a pet class. Like, here's my turret, or are we talking about you've got like a lot of robot psychic comes along and...
I think they're talking about like the actual pet class, having an animal, some sort.
To me, when it comes to pets, they can be really difficult to deal with systematically. If you look at past examples before we go into possible examples, sometimes you would have the warlock running around whose pet was only out to take damage or silence or do CC, and if it died, it didn't matter because you could burn cooldowns and it was part of your strategy. You might as well just given them those skills and just taken the pet out. Yes, there was a bunch of different ones and it was helpful, but really, out of all of them, there were like 2 or 3 that are actually worth anything. So why not make that part of the system that matters? Like, what we're trying to do is this. So we're just going to give you this sort of a skill and balance it out.
Right.
When it comes to turrets or something with a pet, it's always interesting because then you're adding in what does the pet get for stats? What kind of damage do they do? Is it based off of yours? Is it a percentage? Do they have their own? Do you put gear on them? Are they just there to be died up to kill off? Are they there to trigger passives for you? They're always very interesting, but I find both in PvE and PvP them to add a whole nother layer of balancing, which can be kind of frustrating, I'm sure, for the developers.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something that can bog them down. I think Sourprox puts it perfect. Thinks pets would almost be impossible with the new telegraph system. That'd be a programming AI pathing nightmare. Trying to get them staying out of those. So I redact my statement and thinking it'd be cool because it would definitely be a tough thing to do, and it wouldn't be that great for a programmer.
Or Pets in say Guild Wars 2. This sucked. The AI was so bad. I just ran in there, and World v World, they would just die, and people always trying to heal up your pet next to you, and then it would just run off and die again. It was just a resource hog in both as a player and on the system.
And having to micromanage a pet too is super annoying, which is why I never got into it. Never did. I didn't even like doing it on my mage with the stupid frosting that followed you around. if you're trying to do something in a combat system, why not figure out the end goal, what you're really trying to do, and take the pet out? Pets can be lots of fun. I just find that it's just a pain, and especially in Wildstar with telegraphs, how do you balance that? Oh, pet runs in a straight line, pet runs around telegraphs. Oh, pets are OP because your pet can't get hit by damage on the way to the boss. It gives all of these extra things. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of pets, but they can be balanced and they can be a lot of fun. So we will see.
They are the Orin, don't forget them. Little bunny girls. Do they count as pets?
Just
can.
for you as Dominion, and if
Yeah.
they have no clothes on and dance around your house while you're gone. Is that a plug? Can we make that a plug and a socket, just like a pole for Orange to
Dancing
dance on?
bunny girls?
If you're Dominion, like.
I mean, it is a teen-rated game. They'd have to be dancing like the Macarena or something like that. Nothing suggestive. But, I mean, if Star Wars did it with the Twi'lek, don't come at me, Star Wars bros. I love Star Wars anyway. How do you think 1,000... Oh, hang on. Who says the Exiles are the good guys? That's right, Fate. Who knows?
They aren't the good guys. You know, they're just like a bunch of criminals who run around and, you know, rail against the establishment. You know, Nexus is ours, like all the other planets. Eldon told us so. You know, they gave us these special abilities, and the Exiles just want to throw that away and be space hippies. You know, if that's their choice, go and do it somewhere else, not in our universe.
Yeah.
I think that's part of how they draw so many people in. It's not cut and dry. They're not polarizing. It's not the Alliance. They're the good guys. So everybody wants to, you know, the certain demographic wants to play the good guys, and these guys are the bad guys, and certain demographic plays the bad guys, and that's why servers would be populated one way or another. Their backstory and their lore, and the more we find out about them, is very, very interesting because the Dominion, you know, they go around, they feel it's their birthright, da 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 da. Exiles are a bunch of people who got together. We're still waiting. There's lots more to be had there. So I think it'll be interesting to see where the stories go in the game, both as Exile and Dominions, and also in your personal stories, how much freedom you may get from the things that you do and possibly grinding rep with specific people.
What do you think 1,000 players putting down their campfires in a single area is going to play out? Our experience is dependent on people using our stuff. It'll probably cap certain areas. So they can make it within a certain play space that it will cap.
You can't put them down to a certain distance of each other.
Yep.
All the items, there's some sort of semi-collision detail stuff on them. So you can't put them down either to block people's passages for areas. And then if you put your campfire next to my campfire, people are just going to get less XP. The idea is to go and find the good spot to put your campfire and your stuff. And that's the Settlers game. If you just follow everybody else.
Any buffs you receive will cap at a certain area and a certain AoE of how many are within you. So, Metal Maw is next to Mount Doom? Yes, Phoenix, it is. Great question. You are the best. Devs always say it's gonna be 150 hours to cap. Do you really expect it to hold up to that?
Said that.
It's so subject to change.
No.
He said it was 150 to 200 hours of content. If you want to get for the game of 40 hours, it's possible to do so.
I'm not sure. Nixus, if you could pull that up for us. Pretty sure, because I responded in 2 different threads about that, because you can go and play, I'm going to use Terra, for example. If you power game, you can hit max level within 2 days. You can get max level without sleeping. That's crazy. This is supposed to be the game, and of course, this is supposed to be a grindy game. Within 48 hours, you can be max level. That's why when Jeremy, I believe it was Jeremy, posted that 150 hours to cap, I was really excited, and I posted again, and I was like, so I'm not going to be able to get level 50 in 50 hours? And the answer was no. That is not what the pacing that we're looking for. So it may not take exactly 150 hours, but they want it to be a quest, a story on your way there. It's not going to be get through as fast as possible to get to Elder Game. There's going to be cool stuff along the way. And there was a really good forum post about transitioning from places and them having their own unique stories and how they're really working on making it immersive, even as, for example, if you guys remember when you first hit level 40, in World of Warcraft, there was this big, huge change in the things that you got your mount. It was super exciting. There were these milestones that you hit, and I believe they're aiming for that sort of system where as you progress, you're going to get awesome items, you're going to see better content, it's going to go from this place that's war-torn to perhaps something that isn't as war-torn and is open to be, looted, or it's going to have a really cool feel as you go instead of it just being kill these dinosaurs, kill this dinosaur, go kill these dinosaurs, go kill this dinosaur. Hooray, you did this for 50 hours. Congratulations. Now you're max level. You can now do other content.
Yeah,
I may have misunderstood him at PAX East. That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe
and it's so subject to change. Yeah, the difficulty and the amount of hours they want that to happen in is what the beta is for. I mean, they're taking all the data of how quickly people are getting to 22, and they're stretching that to their 50 mark, and they're stretching their numbers with those, and that's just how they're calculating it. They're trying to find the happy median there. So, questions. Oops. Anyone from Carbine in here? No one from Carbine in here tonight. They are all. Most of the community guys
that is not true.
Well, all right. Well, maybe. Scooter might be in here, but he's probably creeping.
We have stalkers who are hanging out to make sure that we don't get we don't need to be stabbed by ninjas.
I thought the ninjas were just over there somewhere. But
yeah, I found
bacon.
Aether sent ninjas to our places the last show. I know he's over in Brighton getting ready for Arc Ship, and a couple of the other guys that would hang out here at Arc Ship right now. So they're creeping, not posting.
Scooter's alone in the office with no pants.
Good. Yeah, Scooter does not wear pants. That's a fun fact.
Scooter, read my emails.
Will players have enough money easily by level 6 to purchase the first house as soon as they get to it? Unless you're grinding a lot on your way there or killing everything in your sight. I think they said that they want you to have to work for it once you hit level 6, so there might be a little bit of grinding for money involved with that.
Transfers. Take a deep breath. You guys want to start talking about transfers before I get into it?
Server transfers?
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh, I don't want to talk about them.
How important is a good transfer system to you guys? How long should they wait to add it? Should they allow transfers right away so people can get situated? My answer, with a deep breath, not going to have any flashbacks from any games that I may have just played recently about having open servers for everybody forever and how frustrating that can be, is no. I hope that they open servers, you get in the servers, they look at the population, they unlock them, allow you to move as necessary and move the population and encourage them to move based upon the needs of the server, and not allow people to freely transfer any way they want, because it ruins economies, it ruins gameplays, it ruins so many things. And that is all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Blank. You need a period of time, like 24 hours, give people a chance to get in the same server as their friends, and then that's it, almost. Because otherwise you just, as you said, the games we played recently, they left it on and on and on, and people just get moving around and around, and we usually get roundabouts, and large areas of the games didn't work because there wasn't even a population to do it there, or you ended up versus people who even migrated to that week because they thought it was going to be a winning server.
Yeah, I think everybody's still sour about Guild Wars 2 and the transfers with no direct faction-based world type thing right now. I think it won't be as big a problem. Yes, facts. I think there will be paid transfers with cooldowns eventually. That's how MMOs work, and that's how people that get the game are like, "Oh, you have that game, buddy? I'd love to come to your server." That's how you have to do it, But yeah, people are still sour about Guild Wars 2, so that's why Blank and Oroshi are so angry.
What I will explain about the frustration about that is, I understand you want to balance your populations, but you should have some control over where people are going and why. If I can make a lot of money on my server, go to your server, there's nobody level 50 there, I take a lot of economic stuff with me, I haven't done anything wrong, I've just farmed like a crazy person for 2-3 weeks, I have stuff that your server doesn't. I can put them up at a huge, inflated price, make a lot of money, free, and transfer back. Someone else asked about pay stuff, so we'll get into that. But when it comes to paid transfers, I feel like it's a good idea with a real solid cooldown. But we'll get to that. Actually, I guess we're getting to it right now. Paid or free to play? Do we know yet?
No.
The answer is no. I'd love to hear
quote.
what you guys think, though.
The quote from the devs, I think it was Pathy, when we release what our payment model is, you will be happy. So take that with whatever you think that's going to be. Do you have any good Wildstar jokes? Apparently Nixus thinks we do.
Nixus has all of his silly art, which he should post up because it's funny. Everybody here saying it. Listen, everybody here saying it. Subscribe. Subscribe. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you don't have $15, but you've got money to go out and do whatever extracurricular activities that you enjoy, I'm sorry. Like, I want people who are willing to pay for an epic experience. $15 a month, you can go outside and start collecting bottles and cans for all I care. Like, that's not that much money if you think about it for a hobby that you're going to enjoy, that you already pay for cable and electricity and everything else for anyways. Yeah. So if it's worth it to you, you pay for it.
Life priorities. If you can't afford $15 a month to play a game, then you need to really consider what you're doing. I had a guy I knew on EVE Online, and he would be constantly, oh, but I've got this going on in my life, I've got that going on in my life, I should be able to play. Well, there were choices you made to get in that situation, and now you pay the consequences for it. If you can't afford $15 a month, why are you running a 4 account? You've got to balance your life. And gaming's a privilege. It's not a right.
Yeah, I mean, $15 isn't too bad. Like you said, gaming is a privilege. It's 15 McChickens or 15 McDoubles, I mean.
Or a night, or
one night down
not terrible food for you.
Tell the girlfriend, I mean, we don't have to go to Applebee's or wherever people go nowadays when they go out to eat.
A couple other people mentioned things that I wanted to hit on too, because they're important to talk about. Subscription keeps out hackers. Well, it may not. I would look at it as it detracts as many of them, because our free-to-play game is just free. Anyone can get in. Those that have to start putting money in, they have to then justify the time sink, the cost. It becomes a huge business model. People weren't, from what I understand, and someone can correct me, I don't remember there being quite a lot of gold sellers that were these big companies until BC came out. Until then, it was pretty hard to just be able to go, I'm going to go to this site and buy gold. Having a subscription, I feel like, helps a game keep a much more solid community of people that are dedicated or willing to pay, instead of just an open game that anybody can get.
Well, and the subs go directly to the dev and the publisher, which then that money goes towards the security team for people to up your. I said up twice.
Up. Bo.
So you can up your ups, and your security team gets paid, and you can hire on more security guys that look for those back doors, all that stuff. So it's always better with a sub. I mean, let's be honest.
Another note for the chat. Tetic said subscribe, but with consistent updates and fixes. What they've said right now is what is the lingo, Chris? Five whatever weeks or whatever?
Yeah, 5 weeks is a milestone.
Thank you. So that's what they're aiming for, to be putting out new content once people get to Elder Game.
Yeah, and milestones in game development, right now their milestone is 5 weeks, and this is for beta and pre-launch. Once they're launched, their milestones are always subject to change based on what NCSoft has to say to them. If NCSoft says, hey, we want you guys to show us what's happening with the game every 10 weeks now, those are their milestones. You can probably see content around those, but, I mean, of course, it's a little too late or early. God, what time is it? It's a little too early to figure that out right now. Next, did we skip? How much swag is swag? A lot.
We have
Thanks,
swag
Stu.
days. Yep. Swag for days.
I love you, Stu.
too much worried about? Are you worried about too much CC and PvP?
Ooh.
No idea to tell right now. Fight Club.
And with the
Fight Club.
telegraphs as well? I don't know.
Yeah. We
This is
don't
what I
even
have to
know.
say. This is what I have to say. Pop Tarts.
Pop-Tarts beta.
Breakout
there's-
gameplay. That's what I could. That's what they
There-
put out. Breakout gameplay.
There could be stun locks. There could be skilled stun. It's way too early to tell right now. I'm sorry. Is the game hard to run? Like you need a good PC to play it. You will need a decent PC.
Last
You're not
5
gonna be
years,
able to.
wasn't it?
Yeah, within the last 5 years is what they're shooting for.
Need a GTX 880, I think was the minimum spec graphics card wise. So
Yeah.
anything within the last 5 years should run the game, but how well it's going to run it is another matter. Buy a new PC, help the game systems move forward.
Yeah, there you go. Just go spend all your
Buy a new
money.
Yeah, spend all your money.
Yeah.
Subscription, new gaming PC. Enjoy the experience. Stop holding us back in the dark age.
If you're American, it's the American way to build copious amounts of debt. So just get a credit card and get that debt going because that's how we live. Do the ninjas eat bacon? After Troy Aether, the community manager, after he told me they sent ninjas into my place, I woke up and the ninja was making me eggs and bacon the next morning, so that's confirmed.
No, it's not confirmed. Did the ninja eat it though? Or just make it for you?
Ooh. Redacted. Redact
It's
that
in limbo.
statement.
Yeah.
It's in limbo.
And did you spoon afterwards?
That was before. I never
Okay.
spoon. I never eat then spoon. So, Ken or will you guys ever bring a guest on? Yes. We have the info
Not
for
you.
you to send if you want to be a guest. Well, and Jeremy Gaffney, executive producer, wants to be on here. He'll probably get above anybody else because he's a dev. I mean, that's boss to have him on a
But
show
for
like this.
Troy is maybe we'd be able to get other devs on, but everyone's schedules are just up in the air at the moment.
I can say that we may possibly in the future, and no, you will not know until it is showtime because we will not be discussing it until the show comes up. Possibly their PvP lead and the person who works underneath. Possibly 2 other devs. Jeremy said he wanted to stop by, who is the executive producer. We may be able to convince
Other
Mike.
people.
Hopefully, get Mike.
Long story short, yes, you can apply to be a guest on the show. If we have people like Jen Bardic _ PvP, devs of course will come above other guests, and we may need to reschedule with you, but we would love to have other people from the community on here. Beetle, are you gonna dye your beard bright red for the Dominion? I
Maybe
don't
we
know.
convince you for the Child's Play, dye your beard bright red, $1,000.
We might do for the Child's Play event, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a bad idea. Have they released any information about PvP battlegrounds during the leveling process? The information with that is they would like for those to have close as they can XP rewards that they level at the same rate that people in PvE do, which is of course a very difficult thing to do. And that's going to be subject to change with beta, but they will try to make it so you can level all the way in stride with PvE characters to level max through that. Or, yeah, with the PvP that's available to you before Elder Game.
I think I'm going to skip around this one. I found it very interesting that they had publicly discussed playtesting arenas at the level that they are at from a balancing perspective. Not sure what other content they may or may not have worked on in regards to PvP, but as a system, it's very cool to see that they were balancing around that aspect, because there is also 5 versus 5, 2 versus 2, and war plots. Balancing those can also be very tricky. So Is that what they're going to base some of their balancing on? Is that going to be where their huge milestones come from? Will it be the larger fights? It's very interesting. So just as a talking point for those of you who like PvP, there are some implications that come with that.
Is
So,
this purely balancing as well as testing the system and finding the bugs in it?
Yeah.
You know, it's
It's
a lot going on in the
stuff.
beta than just balancing the game, I think. I think we're going to try and, there's only so much testing of the system in an office. How many staff do they have? 50 people, even though everybody on there had 10, 5v5s. It's not much of a stress test and an idea on how this works.
right, but Frax Machine says it correct. Then that's kind of the point I'm aiming for. They're testing Arena at level 22. From a systems perspective, you're balancing stuff for PvP at level 22, but they didn't say publicly, hey, we did Battlegrounds testing at level 22 to see where these things work. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, they tested something in PvP as a system. They didn't test a war plot. They didn't take a bunch of them and say, we're going to stick you on this war plot, and we're going to stick you people on this war plot, and we want you guys to play and see what you can do. They didn't publicly say anything about that. They didn't say anything about Battlegrounds. What they said is that they were doing it in 3 versus 3. So I find it, like I said, I find it very interesting that they would do that because it has some implications. I'm not going to go too deep into what the implications are because then it's wild speculation. But it's definitely something to put out there. So.
Unless that's just all they had polished up and ready to go. No, I just think there's both sides to the argument. We could be at it all night long.
Firefall had a huge content update and it completely ruined the game. What do you think has the biggest potential to ruin this game? It could be the same thing with
having a beard
Firefall.
for Macari looking like Beetle.
Yeah, that could probably sink this whole ship. But I mean, like you said with Firefall, everybody's looking forward to that content update. It's all good, and then everything drops, and it could be all buggy. It could drive players away because it changes everything that they love. It's a video game. It's possible that they could add something that you completely hate. They may get rid of stalker or stealth and just be like, you don't stealth anymore. You just swing faster. It all just depends.
That's not.
Well, yeah,
that made me super sad. As soon as you said that, I was like,
they won't probably get rid of the stalker stealth, but there's always something that they could add into the game that could turn people off to it. It's
leaks
part of making games. Yeah, leaks could take the wind out of the sails, stuff like that.
Because come next month, everything's redesigned, and people go, it's. Yeah.
Oh, there was a question about.
I was excited about the soon-to-be incoming videos. Oh, there was.
Yeah, there was another one. If all the hype of Wildstar fails, I think I'm not going to be gaming anymore. I can't even think about playing anything else. What would you do? Honestly, the reason that we're here is we believe in these guys. I got to be honest. A lot of us here, everybody that's in here right now that you've been listening to tonight has been playing video games and MMOs for a long time. Storied histories, large successes, whatever. We've sat down and talked with developers, TeamSpeak, in real life, worked very hard with them in different processes from betas that are fight clubbed for years to ones who finally come out. We've been disappointed. We've had great times. For me, personally, I really believe in them. Sitting down with the EP, the community guys, the ones working on the systems that are so important to me as a gamer, and listening to how excited they are, how honest they are with you as much as they can be without getting in trouble, just was simply amazing. So I really don't expect it to fail. Seems like they have a solid plan going forward, and we support them all the way. Anything, you guys? I mean, Oroshi, you weren't there.
Yeah, well, for me, it wasn't my radar. I seen a little bit about Wildstar. It seemed cartoony. It just felt, whatever. And then a few friends got excited about it. PAX East. It was pretty much the first booth we fell over in the press hour before it we got to see anything else because I was all about Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls are going to be amazing. And just talking to the guys, their excitement and the way they're so behind their game and the product. This is not like my job is making computer games. This is my life. This is my baby. When the service is down, the dev I was speaking to, he was like a little boy and his toy was broken. He was so upset. He couldn't show me his computer game. I got me behind it, and now it's the community. If this game comes out broken, and things are going to come out broken in the game because they always do in a game with scale, the community is going to be there behind them, supporting them, and that's what's going to make me come back to this game. Is playing with people I like playing with. You know, if the game could be rubbish, if my friends are great in the game, I'm going to come back to it. If we keep building this big community and give them time to get things right, then this game won't fail.
I had another big one. I was talking about this earlier, maybe in TeamSpeak the other day. They have released, I wouldn't say fully proprietary information, but that post they put up from, I don't know how to say his name, Friday, their database guy, their servers.
Systems administrator.
People, developers do not do this. If you've gotten a chance to sit down and talk with developers about things, it's normally can't talk about that, can't discuss this. Even if you're sitting in a TeamSpeak or talking to them in real life, it's totally different. They're like, hey, you guys wanted some information. We thought it was cool. We're going to give you as much as we can, in-depth information. I think that's amazing. They seem to keep making the right decision, and the community that's building around their work is of the same caliber. We keep seeing guilds and organizations that come in that are excited to be here, that are optimistic, that support each other, whether it's on Twitter, Wildstar Central, in the IRC. It's exciting. The last couple of games I've played, I've had a totally different experience going into launches, feeling anxious, feeling I'm optimistic, which is a great thing to feel months before a game is going to be launched. Did we talk about Arc Ship, Dungeon and Raid?
Arc Ship EU, they're going to be seeing the first dungeon shown to players. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Storm Talon or is it like Stormalon, something like that, his lair? And they will be able to talk about it. Like Zap said, I don't believe they'll be able to take video of it. They'll be able to write articles about it. And that's what's going to be happening on that. So we probably will have a pretty good walkthrough of the first encounter in Dungeon.
There was an Arc Ship in UA. Someone asked, will there be one in the US? There was one already.
Yeah, there already was an Arc Ship. Arc Ship was an event where the Wildstar devs invited several members of the community to come and play the game and hang out and do some stuff.
He's asking, would there be another one as well?
Yeah, did they say something about Australia or something like that? Or
they have
Canada would be good.
I don't think they said they were going to be going to Australia. Pretty sure they are going to be at Prime. Another Arc Ship, I don't even have speculation. Depends on how well beta continues to go forward, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the game is close to being finished? Beta, I mean, they're close, yeah. As far as the development cycle goes, they're over, a lot of people like to say 3/4. Most of the assets are done, animations are in. Most of the sounds in the game will be done, except voiceovers and text and stuff is still subject to change. They probably are still casting people for voices. But otherwise, as far as art goes, the majority of art is done in their main areas, I would assume. Everything else, though, that the beta's for is gameplay mechanics. They may still be adding some endgame content because they don't expect... I mean, endgame content's usually finished last because if you screw up, then by launch you have time to usually finish it really, really quick in a patch or something like that. But it is closer... I don't know how to say it. It's more close to being finished than it is to being started? Question mark?
Yes.
It's getting there, but still wait some months. And beta is beta. Something can go down, and they have. I mean, they say they're shooting for 2013, but they don't have to make a promise. They can always go back.
Wanted to
Hopefully
get to
2013.
yes. What are your thoughts on alliances prior to launch? Small guilds may need these for 40-man raids and good war plots. Do you guys want to talk about it? I need to go fill up my big boy beverage. So, did you guys want to talk about that real quick?
Sure.
What are we talking about?
The
Alliances.
alliances prior to launch. Some of the smaller guilds may only be small communities of friends, 10, 20, whatever. They may want to do stuff. What do we think about that? So, I'll be right back with the
I think
yum yum yum.
if they're going to do it, they need to find out early before launch and allow people to have some sort of tool to say, this is my guild, and this is alliance our guild's going to be in, and then these are the people we've had some banter with, and we'd like to be versus them, so we can start putting people on the same server. Try and build something up. But if people want to get together, work together on war plots and raids and such on, it could be a good idea unless you just got alliances, which go around and get really large guilds and then pick the cream of the crop to put into it. Maybe that could cause some imbalances. I don't know.
Yeah, they I know warplots.com. I think I mentioned it in the last episode. They've got something set up over there where you can place that you're looking for an alliance or you're going to be needing a group, stuff like that, for these war parties. I think my example in the last episode was, say, A guild has 20 guys, B guild has 10. They want to at least have 30 for a war plot or something like that, and you need 40. They can at least get together and make a war party of 30 and deal with it that way. I mean, alliances for endgame content and raids, I think are going to be necessary for the majority of players. Yeah.
I missed everything these gentlemen said. You guys can hear me, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
The reason someone asked, why is my fridge not in my kitchen? Because my washer and dryer are in there? There you go. That is the answer, Fate. What do I think about alliances prior to launch? These guys probably said it. A lot of the smaller guilds are going to need it. And I think it's, with the community, the way that it's growing, I think it's a great idea. You've got 20 people. You want to go do, you're a PvE guild. You decide that you're really good friends with Beetle's Chin Hair, which is another 20-man guild. You guys want to go do some war plotting. Cool.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Beetle's Chin Hair does raids on its own.
For you, that's cheers. That was good. That was good.
But they need to support it. And as the logistics guy for SVG, I'm really hoping that if there is alliances and the guild, that they come out of the gate supporting them. Too many games recently have made the whole social aspect sort of like second fiddle. They sort of push it to the back. Say Planet Side 2, which is all about squad combat. They made it hard to run your outfit. Other games have done the same. They made it hard to set up your guild and do all the stuff you need. It's something that needs to be in there at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people are going way too far with Chin Hair stuff.
The one thing I'll touch on alliances is I don't think our guild itself, Subterfuge Vanguard, I don't think we'll have one from the get-go, because my big thing is we have enough people to do the raids and we have enough people for war plots. I don't see. I mean, I can be friends with a lot of guilds. I have no problem with a lot of people, but there's not a PvP aspect already in place that is an open world setting that I want to be. I want to say, hey, I need you guys to be able to be on my team speak, stuff like that. There's not really something that actively makes me want to be part of an alliance from the get-go.
Well, you could get people get the guilds together, and we want to make our guild bigger, absorb each other or something.
Yeah, we can do a Kirby thing.
Sour, that's a conversation we've had internally, and I don't mind discussing it right now.
What?
Being able to do
Maybe.
40 war plots and 40-man raids, unless they're playing 8 days a week, it depends on how difficult the content is to clear. If you can do all of your PvE raids in 3 days, or even 4 days at a stretch, you have the weekend to do your war plotting. Or if it is that difficult to maintain the top war plot, you may need to have separate entities that are able to do both. At this time, it's still up in the air to see, how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, it's I can speak from experience being part of a pretty large alliance off the bat from Guild Wars 2. I mean, that whole alliance was formed around World v. World, and I'd love to see an expansion. I mean, we've already got the 2 faction system, some sort of faction PvP, where I would love to say, Insult and Terminus, I think you said you're part of, or I know I saw Umbra around here. Anybody else who's got the same ideals and same skill level, I would have no problem being like, all right, yeah, faction PvP. Let's ally, let's roll in with 80, like 100 and something.
Math is hard.
God,
Math is hard.
100, like 1,000, probably like 1,000 guys, and we'll run in, and faction PvP would bring me towards that. Otherwise, we can all be friends. Besides Exiles, GTFO.
Yeah, get out of here with your songs and your little furry people.
I don't think war plots are going to be something which is in the world. It's going to be like, arenas or battlegrounds. The war plot's going to get summoned in for the fight, and it's going to leave again. You're not going to sit on there 24/7.
Right.
Well, that would be cool. But...
Do you want to see me do a push-up?
No,
Oh.
no one cares.
No one cares. I can do more than you anyway, bro. Do you lift? You don't lift, because I lift. Sup. Would you compare and contrast?
Yourself.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I'll push this glass up for you.
How would you compare and
yeah.
contrast the build-up of Wildstar with the build-up to SOTOR? Not green. One of you guys can talk about it, because I didn't play that.
So, how would you compare the contrast, the build-up on Wildstar with the build-up to SWTOR? SWTOR had a lot of fan base, lore base build-up because of the Star Wars backing. I think Wildstar's build-up is more based around people are seeing the content and the features that they're going to be having. Personally, I had a bunch of buddies that were like, SWTOR beta. And then I got bored waiting for Guild Wars 2 and bought SWTOR and was just like, all right, this is kind of cool. But I think it's a different type of build-up, lore-based versus feature-based.
It's a completely different build-up. You had like the games before SWTOR, so people already had that sort of expectation upon what was going. So you had the hype of the people who liked the games, and then you had the hype of the people who liked the expanded universe of Star Wars being in as well. So you got those two groups coming in, and the MMO players. Where Wildstar, you've got people going, this seems like old school. Wow, you've got people thinking this is the MMO I'm looking for, rather than the lore or the IP.
I don't know much to say about it, except we haven't even really seen them building anything up. Everything's been community driven, except for like Jeremy stopping by the forums. Like, they haven't really done a real hype train yet. So I'm interested to see what is going to come from them in the next couple months. The last couple of questions were about Beetle's chin hair. It's actually just like Hogger. You're going to be able to rate it, possibly in Daradoon. So look forward to rating Beetle's chin hair in Daradoon. And we're going to...
I'll talk to Popatelli about it.
Yeah. Dapper Donatelli.
Dappy.
Good old Dappy.
Man 2K wants to know, are we making a guild? If so, will it be joinable?
What I do want to say about that is if you have any questions about us as a guild, you can go to our favorite and our little home away from home over at Wildstar Central. The admin is actually in chat, and I'm sure someone can throw a link up for you. All the information about our guild is right there. We're not going to talk too much about it here. We like to hang out in the IRC. Sometimes the developers come in and chat and talk. Everyone's really friendly. For the most part, don't feed the trolls. Also, we like to throw a little shout out to Wildstar fans and Wildstar Wiki. Wildstar fans actually put up one of my posts and turned it into an actual article. I was writing up like a welcome to forums about MMOs, and apparently it was acceptable to the community. So someone else put it up as a huge article. So we appreciate that. There's probably a lot more people out there. We are not excluding anybody. Those are just our close friends, our dear friends
Yeah.
who are out there. So
There's too many good people in this community to be like, oh, there's just so many people that's just like, yeah, that guy, he's awesome. It's just the one thing I will touch on with people looking to join the guild, we are accepting hardcore positions with an application system. We are also on that application system accepting friends and casual family members that would like to play. So if you feel like you're not going to be a big time raider, not going to be a oh my god, big time PvPer, you can always check the box for casual play. And yeah, so.
And give us some
That's
thoughts when you fill out your application form. Don't copy and paste, and we're grandma Nazis. Don't forget that.
other than that, thank you everyone for showing up tonight. It was a blast. We kind of went way over our time, but that was because we wanted to respond to the questions that you folks asked us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, we've kind of settled down at Wildstar Central, who tomorrow will be having an update. So good luck with that. You can find us again on the IRC chat. We're always around to talk with whether about the guild or anything else. So hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Hopefully next week Atomics will have fixed his microphone and feedback and will be able to comment other than posting things in chat. So again, look forward to seeing you folks next week. It was a blast. Say goodbye, you guys. Go for it.
There's one more thing before we go. Don't forget about our Child's Play event. Exactly a month's time. From 10 o'clock EST to 10 o'clock EST on the 19th. We'll be trying to raise some money for the children.
Them kids.
Check us out on Wildstar Central. I'll link again for you guys.
Children. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Really
guys.
appreciate
Have a
everybody
good
stopping
night.
by.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye. Wave Atomics, wave.
Wave Atomics. He's tipping his hat.
Oh,
I
good
got a
day,
finger.
sir.
Hello, sir.
Bye-bye.